Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Today we have on board Alexander Alexandra Beitia, and we hope to have an excellent event with her. Hello Deep, it's good to have you.
It's
Uh,
like
Greetings, Kathy Hollister. She is also a poet with It's Not Easy. She's just joined in. And let me begin with introducing Alexandra. She is a student athlete at UC Davis, studying gender, sexuality, and women's studies with a minor in English. She loves to run, is an avid poetry writer, reader of mysteries, and lover of dogs. She has fostered two dogs and is the social media manager at Breakbread Literacy Project. She has previously been published by Poet's Choice, Sad Girls Club literary blog, Wingless Dreamer, and the Just Girl Project blog. So, with that, we'd like to know from you how is that being published as a writer, as a poet? How does it feel to be published as a writer, as a poet?
man. Um, it's kind of surreal, to be honest. It's really exciting because I've always wanted to be published. It's been like a childhood dream of mine since I was 9. So to finally see my work in print was just kind of amazing, and I loved being able to hold my work and like the copy in my hand because it was just unbelievably out of this world. I was so excited. So, and I never like lose the excitement for when I get published because I'm like, it's out there forever.
Oh, I've been really looking forward to talk to you, and I'm really happy that we have this meeting today. And I look forward to sharing a lot and learning a lot from you. So let's begin with a reading of your poem, if we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. I have my copy. All right. So, the title of my poem is Shipwrecked. The warmth of the blanket is fleeting. You tug at the edges, leaving a frigid embrace, pulling from me my pride, held in vain by a feeble string, snapping clean in half as you pull once more. My skin left bare, naked, just like my self-respect. I left it open to your touch. The tips of your fingers leave latent prints behind. Oily, impudent, marking me cheap like discounted day-old sushi. Groped, used up, and left dirty like a child's toy abandoned in the sandbox after a storm. A mere 3 inches separates us, but your body lies miles away, satisfied and content in a deep slumber. I watch in horror as my body curls into a tight ball. I feel tears on the precipice of my eyelids. My body is hollow. I yearn to erase the events of the night before. The same words emblazoned on my mind. Never again. Berating myself over and over again. It is quite lonely on this island, surrounded by the waves of cotton and polyester. Forgotten garments, wrinkled sheets. I look at your arm, wanting so badly for it to be wrapped tightly around my stomach. Our fingers interlaced, a tender touch never to be. I was just an easy target for field practice, another notch in the fraternity house's tally of blondes, brunettes, and gingers. When your eyes open, my hope soars. My head lifts, believing for a second there is a chance for more than just carnal passion. It is when you touch me my eyes lower in despair. And yet I give myself to you, I give into the loneliness that overshadows my heart. All I can imagine is my bed inviting, cradling me after you drop me off, and say see you around disingenuously. I knew what I was doing, so naive to believe it was more.
Wow, that's really long and really interesting.
Yeah, I was kind
So,
of very long poem, for sure.
so how do you develop this concept and the style of the poem that you
Uh,
recited?
so the concept of the poem was more like it's kind of like a stream of consciousness. It was just like a bunch of thoughts that came together after the event happened. And it was a bunch of different like similes that I had, all these comparisons that I was making to the moment in time. But the most accurate one was like to be shipwrecked, to feel like you're abandoned on this island and you're completely alone. Because even though you're like surrounded by all this water and you know that on this island there's other people, you feel completely by yourself. And I think that was kind of the overall feeling of why I was writing this poem to begin with. It's kind of about those moments when you're like with somebody but not really with them. And so the stream of consciousness kind of came from it, and I just allowed my writing to just take over, and I didn't stop letting it flow. I think that was the biggest thing, was just letting the writing continue to pour out.
Wow. So we have our editor who said it's beautiful, Sandra Putman D'Souza over there.
Oh, thank you.
So, yes. Incidentally, I'd like to share with our guests that there are poets from 11 countries in this book. That's it's not easy. And I'd like to share the countries that there are poets from Canada, USA, Ireland, Germany, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, South Korea, Malta, and Romania. That's like a huge number of countries we've covered in this book, which has not been the case in others. It's something
No, like
to, yeah, it's like an achievement sort of a thing. So, I'd like to ask you the heavy use of similes and lack of punctuations that you've added to the run and feel of the book. How do you deal with it?
To be honest, I like that poetry doesn't really have to have punctuation or grammatical correctness. I kind of like that it can just be whatever you make it, because it's about more the wording and the separations and about the punctuation in the sense that it's just ending the clause. And so that was kind of like where I was, is it's kind of like when you're thinking about these thoughts in your head, they end so abruptly. And that's kind of how it works when you're writing a poem too, is that sometimes the thought just kind of comes to a close, and then you think about this next piece and you think about the next like feeling that kind of overwhelms you. And that's kind of what happened with me, was that there wasn't really like an educated like academic style to this poem at all. It was just how I like felt and how it was in that moment. And so that's kind of why I wrote it like that. Is it's kind of like a diary entry in a lot of ways.
Okay, interesting. Really interesting. So, I know it's going to be like a jump, but I was reading through your bio again, and I saw that you're studying gender, sexuality, and women's studies. So, can you share some light on what it deals with? What exactly is, what exactly is all about?
Okay, so I guess the best way to say it is it's kind of like sociology. It's definitely a study of the humanities and just kind of like human interactions in a general sense, but it really delves into how we interact with gender, sexuality, and then like also the overlays, and how it's not necessarily a binary, but it's more of a spectrum that we exist on. That more than one of our titles can also intersect. So you're not just one label, you're multiple labels, or you're no labels if you choose to not have any at all. So the study that I kind of am in really allows you to see beyond just these very specific stereotypes and very specific titles that we've given to ourselves over like the last hundreds of years. And we're trying to kind of like break those boundaries and pull you out of a box, is what these really do. Is it makes it to where you don't have to fit into any specific thing that a person like tells you to fit into, if that makes sense.
What makes you believe that there is something like that? What drives that belief that there is some sort of a differentiation there in the gender and sexuality which you're giving me? Do you have any such background or such experiences that makes you feel that way? That there is such
Yeah.
a thing. I'm sorry,
So
if it's too personal, you can we can skip that, you know. I don't want to
no, you're
get,
good. Um, so I actually came out as a lesbian a couple of years ago, and so I gravitated towards that title because to me, having a label made me feel liberated. But then I also understood that during that time, there's like a lot of confusion around trying to figure out who you are because we kind of deal with like the, how I say it, society's like overlaying idea that heterosexuality is the norm. And so sometimes we're fighting within ourselves to decide if that's who we want to be or if we are like where we're if we need to go to where we're inclined. And so I realized that if you decide to use a term like queer, it can be more inclusive because it makes you feel like you're not stuck in any particular label and you have room to decide who you want to be and evolve, because at this young of an age it's really hard to know exactly who you are, because I'm 22 and I feel like in college in like the early 20s and like late 20s you're still figuring yourself out. So I think that having those open terms can be really exciting because you don't have to like adhere to anybody else's idea of who you need to be. Because I was also, when I was 12, I was misgendered as a boy because I had short hair. Well, that's like something that I had to deal with. Was I still feel like a woman, but I don't have to look exactly like one, if that makes sense, or like what other people thought I should be looking like. So it's kind of like that stuff, like you can just be whoever you want to be.
completely relate with that. You know what? I'm just about to release a book which is called Realm of Emotions. And one of the subsections in that book is about homosexuality, apart from the others that are there. So I can really say that I know what you're talking about, like different segments of beliefs like marriage, homosexuality, separations that take place, live in relationships. These are included in that book. That's going to be out very soon. So I'd like to recommend everybody to get it.
Oh my,
Okay.
definitely
Uh,
gonna pick up a copy. That is so cool. It goes along
yeah.
definitely.
Anyway,
Cool.
coming back, you've mentioned that you're a lover of dogs and you have two foster dogs. So, any which way that let's leave that. So, um, you also have some other work that you've published. Could you shed some light on that? Like I have your Lost Love, which is published with Sad Girls Club Lit, and Trapped by Social Anxiety, which is published in the Just Girls Project. And okay, that was sad, but
Yeah, not sure what happened. I'm so sorry. Like, my dropped.
I know, I understand actually. It's okay, it happens sometimes. So, where were we? Yeah, I was sharing details about what the other work that you've published with other publishers. Do you want to recite any of that or share anything?
Oh,
Uh,
um, I can definitely share about them for sure. In so the first poem that I ever had published through the literary blog was Sad Girls Club literary blog, and that was called The Lost Love. And I remember that one was kind of about like this long-term friendship, but also kind of more than friendship I was having with a teammate of mine for like 4 years, and it kind of just kept going, and we kept. I remember I was kind of being held on by like a hook with them. I was never truly of interest to them, but they were kind of like holding on, if that makes sense. And so I always felt like I was important to them, but I actually wasn't. And so then I ended up kind of using that poem as kind of a way to close out that friendship, to kind of close out that toxic relationship I was having. So it was kind of like my goodbye to them, if that makes any sense, because I needed a way to move past, and I decided to do that with that poem, and it felt really good. It was very cathartic and very, I would say, like it was like releasing for sure, to be liberating, to be out of that kind of relationship that made me feel like really angry and frustrated and sad all the time. So I was very excited. It's pretty powerful poem for
Interesting.
me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we are going off track here, but I'll definitely, to interest the audience, I like to ask you what's it that's like. I have no clue. What's it like to be born and brought up in Davis, California? How is it like? I have no clue whatsoever. So I'm just asking this of the. Yeah.
It's actually a really cool spot. It's very laid back. It's a college town, so it's really small. So you kind of get to meet everybody, and the downtown area is really cute. You can walk all around it within like an hour. But I love it because everybody that's here is super open and super friendly. I always get people that'll wave to me and actually like say hi to me and remember me on my runs and stuff in the morning. So it's really cool. It's a beautiful,
Interesting.
very agricultural.
Okay, that's not the case here because Mumbai is like a metropolitan city. So once you've crossed the age of school life or college life, it's bye bye. You don't get to meet them so much, and especially with Corona, it's a definite no no here.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely during last year during the pandemic, for sure, there was not a lot of interactions. It was a lot of inside time. So I definitely understand.
Yeah. So, have you read the other poets? You might have liked the poets who have contributed, and it's not easy.
Oh,
Any particular poet you liked in that book?
oh, actually, I bookmarked it because I found them to be really great. Yeah, Grace Gifford's poem, I Wish I Could Tell You, was just so amazing. You could really feel like all of the emotions like throughout this entire poem. It was very strong, but there didn't have to be like a lot of words, if that makes sense. It was just really cool.
Which one is that?
Um, it's the
I must
young.
warn you, by the way, there's one Kathy Olister is live and she's contributed in that book. So, and she is going to go live with us on the 11th of October. So you must and must join her because she's right now listening to you, and that's really nice of her.
Yes, because the poem was just like, oh, I loved it. It was just all these things that you wish you could have told somebody and having like not been emotionally there for them, but like knowing that you had all of these emotions like inside that you couldn't share. So incredibly
Okay.
powerful. So I fell in love with it as soon as I read it.
Okay. That's great. Yeah, so anything else you'd like to share with us after? And I love your poem. That's what Kathy Hollister is just saying to you.
Oh, thank
That's
you.
the poet. Yes.
Um, uh, Not that I could think of. I was very excited to be brought on here and be able to share my work, and also to be able to like hear from other people and hear what they say. Well,
Okay. Okay, then I think then we'll call it a. What, I don't think it's a night there, so the day. Call it a day. And so, namaste. Have a
namaste.
great day.
You.
Uh, yeah. Bye.